First, there was Dueling Citizens, now Secrets from the Inside. Author Greg Meakin nails it again. Introducing Secrets from the Inside Radio Show. Raw, unscripted, uncensored, uncanceled. Secrets from the Inside starts now.
You got me headed to the left, headed to the right, headed back and forth, but baby, it's alright. You got me going to the east, going to the west, going up and down, cause baby, you know best. All day, all night, running around, I'm never gonna stop because you never settle down. Got me shooting into space, flying at the sun. I'm never coming back, cause baby, you're the one.
Good morning. Welcome to Secrets from the Inside, episode 0037. And today is a special one because it is Continue Mission Inside of Secrets from the Inside. I'm Val Olson, and this is Greg Meakin. Greg, it's a special episode today. What's on your heart?
Well, I think on the pre-show, Val, I told you probably turn the mic over to me. I want to listen to myself speak today. Right? I got a lot on my mind, Val. Got a lot on my mind. We'll do welcomes and stuff a little bit later. We're going to have some fun. We've got some announcements. But I just want to make a note of one thing. I want to say one thing. I don't know who this is for today. I really mean it. I don't know who this is for. But all you can do is all you can do. And all you can do is enough. We all put so much pressure on ourselves, especially in a busy moving world, to not just be able to slow down, play within your lane a little bit, within your gift, bring to the table what God wants you to bring to the table. Everyone has stuff we can bring to the table. But just all you can do is all you can do. But the key is there that it's enough. Take the pressure off yourselves, everybody. Everybody who's running by the seat of their pants today, including me. Oh my God. Oh my God, Val. Oh my God. That quote was from a a self-help book back in the 80s. Everything cool happened in the 80s. Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. This is a rapid deployment of Continue Mission Radio. Continue Mission. Okay. This is a devoted radio station, over 10 years, more than a decade old brand, Val. Continue Mission was and is the brainchild of founding father, Captain James McCormick. Founded a radio station that was by veterans for veterans. And you and I, Val, these were amazing shows, Friday night shows, just like the old days, long form, listening to these guys talk. And we were blessed, Val, not to be too reflective here today. I'll really try and behave myself, not cry and all that stuff, mandatory. But Continue Mission is really deep in my heart because you and I, Val, we were introduced to Cap McCormick and the Continue Mission radio brand, almost 3 years ago.
Yeah.
James, this is combined now that we're in the Continue Mission realm right now. Here's where we are in the Continue Mission realm because we're going to talk veterans today. Val, look at that beautiful thumbnail. We're going to talk veterans today, and we're going to talk it a lot. Okay, Val? And you and I were invited by Cap McCormick to co-host a Continue Mission broadcast, which, by the way, is international. It's huge in the U.S., goes out to primarily Vietnam veterans, primarily, but a whole bunch of others, and obviously goes out to our law enforcement and our first responders, our border guys. Everybody's on the same team right now. So Continue Mission we went out that night, Val. We set an actual record for Continue Mission. I remind James of this all the time. We went out to 200,000 U.S. military vets live. So shall I say welcome back to Continue Mission? and welcome back to Val Olson's kitchen table. Right? I'm on a roll already, Val.
Welcome to Continue Mission Radio with Captain James McCormick. By veterans, for veterans. Guest hosts tonight are author Greg Meakin and Miss Val, our military radio gal. Continue Mission starts now.
You got me headed to the left, headed to the right, headed back and forth, but baby, it's alright. You got me going to the east, going to the west, going up and down, 'cause baby, you know best. All day, all night, running around, I'm never gonna stop because you never settle down. You got me shooting into space, flying at the sun. I'm never coming back 'cause baby you're the
Good morning and welcome to Continue Mission. We're so excited for the show today. And look who's here. He just parachuted in. Captain James, welcome.
Yeah, hey, well, I didn't know I was going to go live today, but that's okay. I'm here. I'm here.
They'll let anybody on this show, Val. They'll let anybody on this show. I can't. This is rapid deployment. This is what it means. Captain James, busiest guy I've ever known in my life on the DC Hill, West Virginia guy, the founder, the host of Continue Mission. You're the number one dude. And I'm going to turn the mic to you. This is what it is. You just parachuted in, James, unannounced. I kind of like it. That's
Yeah.
like the old toga parties in the 70s. You drop in unannounced. Go ahead, take the mic, Captain.
Well, so yes, actually, I just got off of a very important, what I think is a critical meeting talking about recovery efforts for our missing in action and POWs from not just the Vietnam War, but from all wars, and meeting with the tremendous team in the Pentagon that handles that. You know, it's really interesting to understand just how much is being done in the current administration that is healing wounds, and I think that we got a little more work to do. I'm telling you that you know, there's actually an effort to cut their budget, and I don't think people realize just how important that these recovery operations and these joint recovery operations to recover not only Americans but also the Vietnamese and the Germans and the Japanese and, you know, and all of the others that were killed in combat. You know, the fact that you can come together and you can recover and bring peace to those families also opens up a pathway for a lot of other things, like the incredible trade agreements that we see that our president's making right now. So I'm definitely going to reach out to the White House on this one as well, because I don't think that he wants anything negatively impacting, you know, the trade agreement that he has been able to broker with Vietnam. I mean, for the first time ever, you know what I mean? We've actually see some open free trade agreements with that country. And with that comes an opportunity, you know, to bring about a level of peace and also to build an ally in the area when you're looking at countries like Russia and China and Iran, you know, and North Korea. I think that being able to build a relationship with Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia, you know, could also be able to help bring to an end the current conflict that's going on between Thailand and Cambodia as well. You know, anybody that's been to war doesn't want to see it, you know what I mean, and doesn't want to send other people's sons and daughters to fight in it. And I'm one of those. It's not that I'm walking around, you know, and I won't defend myself and all that other stuff, because I will. But I think that if there's a pathway for peace, we ought to take it. And if we can recover and repatriate, reunite thousands of missing service members that fought for their country, that fought for our country, and bring a little bit of peace to some of these families that are in some cases have been waiting their entire lives, 50, 60, 70, 80 years, okay, for resolution. Um, to see anybody even attempting, to whack the budget on that, I have to question their thinking on that. I don't think that they are thinking on that. I think that they are, looking at a way to, they don't understand the bigger impact that this has on everything. Trade agreements. Do you think it's going to be a good thing, you know what I mean, or a bad thing for us to have a better relationship with the Vietnamese and the Laotians and the Cambodians and in these recovery efforts? I happen to know that it will have a major impact, uh, and it could kill that great deal that our president has set up. So, anyways, that's a hot off the press thing that just came out today. And I'm waiting, and we're developing a strategic plan on how we're going to go into the Senate and see if we can't get that funding added to it back to that budget so we can continue the operations that we've already set forth. So yeah, it's I'm
Captain,
all for saving money. There's plenty of places to save money, but there's
Captain,
also go ahead.
welcome to the show. Welcome to your show, Continue Mission. I have a quick question for you that
Yeah.
our listeners would love to have answered. You mentioned the tariffs. You also, of course, mentioned the presidency. There's a lot of stress and miscommunication going on these days, especially with left-wing press. Can you take a minute and reassure our listeners that all this stuff is a big chunk out of the bear every day, and we're making progress? And also, seriously, that the president is backing our military and our citizens. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, look, so here's a case in point, and let me just fix my camera here, okay? So that I'm not constantly fiddling with this thing. So here's a case in point. Persian Gulf War illness, okay? 34 years ago, we knew that was happening. 46,000 documents went missing during the previous administration. We haven't been able to locate them. And these documents were very important in establishing claims, and not only claims, but also to look and see what really happened. Like, how do we prevent this in the future? Okay. So we had written to the previous Secretary of Defense and their staffers and all of that, never got a response on that. Within the first 3 weeks of Secretary Hegseth coming in and all of his team that he brought in, we started getting responses. So now we're out here trying to track down what the hell happened to all these documents related to Gulf War illness. This is pretty important stuff here. This is talking about, potential sarin exposures, and other forms of nerve gas, biological agents, the whole weapons of mass destruction. That shit existed over there, okay? And I hear a lot of people say, well, it didn't really happen. Da, da, da. Okay, well, tell that to the 280,000 sick Gulf War vets that were exposed to chemical weapons. In the first Gulf War and the second Gulf War, we're looking at better than 300,000 people that were potentially exposed. We don't know what that's done to future generations. But we also have people that were in the same area that had no effect whatsoever. So there's potentially some significant medical breakthroughs that could happen from testing guys that don't have the issues. You know what I mean? I'm very fortunate. I have I had 5 spots on my right lung, but I don't experience the same things, knock on wood, okay, so far, that others have experienced. So is there something in my DNA that protected me? And if so, shouldn't we test that, duplicate that, figure out how that happened? So, these are all things that are very important, but you had an administration that was out to lunch, okay? They were out to lunch. They felt like, to hell with you, you're not important enough to respond. Look, I'm not trying to be politicize anything. If this administration does that to us, we will throw them under the bus too, just like everybody else, and look them in the eyes when we say, look, you can't do this. You can't treat our veterans that way. You can't treat our people that way. But I watch social media and I watch all of these things that are occurring, and I'm on Capitol Hill all the time. And it's like, it's amazing to me how truly ignorant that some of them think that we are, that we can't read, we don't understand basic, intel gathering processes. We don't understand, when we're being played like a sucker. We do, and therefore we come out and we speak out, what I mean, for or against those things that are positive. So it's not political for us. I think that we need to seriously have some respect for whoever is trying to do the right thing, and we try to encourage bipartisanship in everything that we do on the Hill. You know, we're trying to we're trying to elevate a level of peace and open communications, and it's working for the most part, but there are still some that are willing to sacrifice everything if it means making the president look bad or making the current administration, look good or look bad. They're willing to sacrifice for their own personal victories, and I think that is disgraceful. So anyways, I don't want to go on
No,
a
but you're
lot, and I
saying,
don't have a tremendous amount of time, but I wanted to say that every day is a battle. And let me tell you who makes the difference. You, the American people, you who pick up the phone and say, hey, Congressman, Senator, if all you do is say, hey, will you meet with this guy from VVA? Will you meet with his representatives? Because I think that they're trying to do something really good or cool or whatever. I don't care what terminology you use. But we're trying to help people, and more importantly, we're trying to advance the greater cause of America and American patriots. The Vietnam veterans that I represent are the last of the drafted generation. They were drafted, they were forced to go, but yet they're the most patriotic. They came home to people burning the flag, spitting on them, spitting on the flag, cursing the country, and they called it freedom of speech. But yet whenever someone tried to speak out with an opposing view, they were just destroyed. They couldn't get a job. We call it doxing right now in America, and I see it all the time. Some kid drives down the street, flips the middle finger at some protesters, and it's like, let's get his name, let's try to figure out who he is. 16, 17-year-old kid.
Captain,
It's terrible.
tell me what the Vietnam vets did for you and your men coming out of those 2 wars, Iraq
God.
and Afghanistan.
Yeah, listen, not only coming out, but during the war, we had Vietnam veterans that helped us build the tactical operations handbook for convoy security operations in the Iraq war. I know a lot of peanut heads out there like to try to take claim for it. But let me tell you something, Peanut Head. It was those Vietnam veterans and the lessons learned and their willingness to come out of retirement, to write the letters, to send the emails, and to even fly at their own expense over into Kuwait to meet with us. And then I don't know what they did. They pulled some kind of a deal and got us armor plating for our gun trucks that we didn't have
Right.
before. So all the pencil necks and the peanut heads out there that like to put their name on stuff, you really didn't do anything. What you did is you followed the the pathway that was given to you by the Vietnam veterans of America, who are you know in that latter stage of life right now, and we need to be taking care of them. Now it's our turn to pay that back. All your welcome homes. Nobody spit on you. Nobody disgraced you. You know why? Because those guys, they were there by the hundreds. I don't know how in the hell they got to Germany. I don't know how they got to Ireland, but everywhere that we landed an airplane, they were there. There was a contingent of those people there. Newfoundland, Canada, they were there. New
Gander.
York, Bangor, Maine, all of it. Yeah. So I owe a lot to that generation, and my father's from that generation,
Right.
and
Are you are
it's
younger
important.
people learning this, Captain? Are your millennials and Gen Zs, military kids and stuff, are they learning this? Are we
I,
passing this down?
I I think the ones associated with the military or those that are in these areas that promote a level of patriotism learn
Right.
from it, but I think that there's still some education that needs to happen.
Right.
I think again the pencil necks and the peanut heads that are out there. Look, you know, I, I don't care for someone, to toot their own horn, but not at the expense of totally ignoring an entire generation of people
Mhm.
that really are the ones that made it happen. And I'm writing a book, Battle Tested Faith, and I'm going to talk about some of that in that book. And there's going to be some hurt feelings out there because there's some colonels and retired generals out there. They like to tell everybody, well, we wrote the tactics on gun truck operations in Iraq. No, you did not. And I can show you
Right.
the original notes and they match what's in the book. So you're not going to get one over on us. We save everything.
Captain, you're being polite this morning, calling them peanut heads.
Peanut heads.
That's really polite from what I've heard in the past, Captain. Miss
Pencil
Val,
necks.
our military radio gal, Miss Val Olson, spelled Olson. Do you want to opine here or have any questions or comments for
Well, I
Captain?
do. It's very interesting. You started at the top, how this, it's a trickle down effect. So I just wanted to start there just for some clarification because if
Sure.
this is a decision and there's, maybe a clog in the pipe with the Pentagon making these types of decisions,
Mhm.
perhaps it's something they haven't looked at all sides because this would be considered at a local or national or even international level a no-brainer because I look at it and I'm seeing censorship issues tied to it by
Sure.
not allowing historical documentation or history or life lessons to come through to the next generation. So perhaps it's just a communication issue where they've forgotten, who they are in this because they really are our defenders, and we do have many pencil pushers that there are heroes that wear capes and sit in office desks, and I don't want to forget that part.
Sure.
That this is their opportunity to be on what side of legacy, because if you just break it down, you've got censorship and then you've got freedom, and so their names would be attached to that. There will be those that sign, and really, like, isn't that who you are? Like, aren't you the type that want to have your name, your be recognized for the
Sure.
sacrifices you personally made? To think you spent your whole career there and then you go out as like an Antifa thug, that's so disappointing. It would be disappointing to
Mhm.
their legacy lines to know, um, you know, who they were at the end of it, because it always comes down to that one decision. We're remembered for one decision at a time. So I think this is a key one, and I'm really hoping that it goes the right way. That's what I'm
What are
thinking.
your thoughts there, Captain? What are your
So we got
thoughts? Your
so we got
perspective.
two issues. We got two issues here, okay, that have really just, slapped me right in the face first thing this morning. Number one, we have a cut in the DPAA budget that totally affects recovery operations for our missing in action and our POWs, former POWs and MIA. Now, you know what that means is when you cut, you go from 130 million and you cut it down to 100 or go from 190 million and cut it down to 119 million, and you will see a 35% less funds overall for field operations. So what does that mean? That means we won't be able to send people in to negotiate and to work and to do the physical labor that's required to bring these. Look, I don't want to hear any of these people that call for these cuts to tell me how they leave no one behind, because you damn sure are leaving people behind when you do that. Okay. And that's just the truth. And now there's a Senator Deb Fischer, that's FISASCHER from Nebraska. She's a Republican from Nebraska. She's proposing a bill that will add 20 million to the DPA account. And we support that because then that puts them back on track to be able to complete their mission. They're still $10 million under what they originally had, but at least it's a step forward in the right direction. So all of this, what does this mean? So you set up all these deals to do these recovery operations in Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, wherever, okay? The Vietnamese government and those governments halt construction projects, road projects, everything else, because they want to give us the time to recover our missing, our dead that could potentially be in this area. So you got businesses that are being held up. You've got all of these things that are being held up to be able to do that. And we've got the money, right? We had the money to do it, and we were prepared to do it and could be doing it right now. But all this is causing a delay. That upsets the government. The government then gets these weird, look, I'm going to try to stay away from disrespecting some media outlets, but you got some media outlets out there that like to promote stuff just to generate controversy. Okay. And we used to call them tabloids, you know what I mean, back in the day. And instead of promoting fact, they push the rumor that they've heard, and they try to make it fact. And so they've totally disparaged this entire operation because they know it's going to hurt that trade deal that President Trump has established with the Vietnamese government and other governments. Because then it's like, well, they are hell-bent on just hurting that man's reputation. And even the people that didn't support him, that I know, are looking at this and saying they're willing to leave everyone in the ground or to the point of not being able to recover them because of the environment, because of buildings being built on top of potential grave sites. They're willing to sacrifice all that if they can make Donald Trump look bad. And if you are a Republican, a Democrat, I'm appealing to you as an American to say, look, bring our troops home. Don't cut the budget of DPAA. Don't stop missions going into these countries, and definitely don't stop trade agreements with these countries who used to be former enemies. because we may be preventing future wars and creating. Look, we have a great relationship with Japan and Germany. We never had that before. I promise you, in the 1940s, we weren't friendly with them then, you know, and 400,000 plus Americans died in World War II. But we've managed to work it out so we could prevent future wars, and they've helped us to prevent wars. They've helped us in this struggle against, Russia and China, and in particular Russia, and all of the stuff that we hear about that. So what I'm saying is that we as an American citizenry need to set aside our differences and do the right thing. Just do the right thing. That's all you have to do. Don't go out doxing people. They try to get people fired if they say something or speak up or, try to ruin their lives, go after their kids. I mean, look, man, I have been in positions where people have threatened I literally had a guy threaten to burn our house down and shoot us as we came out the door. And you know what? Now, he got talked to by the police, but nothing really happened to him. And he was one of these crazy ass radicals that was just mad because we decided that we were going to work with both sides on an issue. This was whenever I was the national commander of the military order of the Purple Heart.
Right.
And I still hear, from some of these people. They have lost the ability to negotiate. And I'll tell you, some of these folks that raise all this hell, they don't lead anything. They're not in charge of anything. They don't run a company. They don't contribute to society. They get their platform on social media, and all they do is just go out and just stir stuff up, try to make people, angry, keep people fighting. But they've taken this on the international level now.
Right.
And now they're potentially creating bad blood between us and other countries that could lead to a war that will get your sons and daughters engaged in the same kind of combat that I was engaged in, that my dad was engaged in, and that all these Vietnam veterans were engaged in. And we're trying to stop that shit. We really are. I don't know. I don't know what rock some of these people crawled from under, but they need to get back under it. You know what I mean? And stay there and just enjoy the freedoms that you got, because freedom of speech does not mean starting wars. I think that there's a limit. It's just like going into a crowded theater and screaming fire. Well, some people would try to protect that as free speech. It's not free speech. You're creating havoc. You're hurting people. And this is no different.
And Captain, the difference between 2025 and past rabble-rousing, union-busting hired thugs is this is funded now by the left. They're pure agitators. We've seen them left and right the past few
I've
years.
seen them on both sides. I mean, yeah, they get paid to stir up shit, and they don't care if it gets your kid killed. They don't care.
Yeah.
And
Val, do you have a comment on that?
Well, I do, because you mentioned, James, that you're not trying to make this a political issue, but as a mainstream media member, I would say this is very much a political agenda, and it's one that will basically, as James said, send your children to war. And I don't think that's right. I think that it starts at the top, and those that end up sitting around a table, they are still people just like you and I. And if they hide behind their own shield and just, throw commands out there and forget how this affects the normal average American family, they've got a message coming to them loud and clear, because people are not going to go along with this. And I think actually the mainstream media that are left are going to see through it, because I see it as very obvious as a tactic. And so I can't imagine that they're not going to rethink this. That's to me like a no-brainer, because we're sitting here, we're talking about this going, you can't do that. You can't stir the pot, go hire agitators to get your political agenda put through, which essentially prevents families from who've sacrificed. They've lost everything. They've lost loved ones, and then we're not going to bring them home. I don't think so. That's just not how it works. So this is a huge, huge issue that needs debate at home. It needs debate at the most local of levels. And I really hope we see some senators, governors, and congressmen rise up on this, because I see this from one side to the other as a uniting type issue. What do you think?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
and
think
Val,
it is.
and Val, just a point here, Captain. Val, obviously, she represents the home front. It's even at home media mom. And she's brought this up. Your commentary, just your thoughts on the importance of the home front, the boots on the grounds, folks that are the supporting players in our military. Home front comments, if you have any, Captain, because I know your time's going to be short today.
Yeah. Well, it just comes down to a level of common sense. You know what I mean? We've got to sit down and have, look, because we've sided on things that was presented by, or because we've said President Trump did a great thing when he had an executive order dealing with the West LA homeless crisis. How on God's green earth could anybody be against housing 6,000 homeless veterans and building a center that will create a pathway to not recovery and to get them off the street and to help them get jobs? Who could be against that? Well, I thought nobody could be against that, but I was wrong. I was wrong. And I'm like, well, what is the reasoning for you being against that? Well, it's going to cut into the funds. A lot of people donate to these small groups that do this and do that. I said, okay. I said, so it's about the money. You're afraid that if the guy comes in and fixes it, that all of a sudden the money's going to drop for your personal organization, which really has not impacted. It's like pissing in the ocean. It hasn't raised it or it hasn't lowered it. But you got somebody that's going to come in here and going to take 6,000 right now and going to hold people accountable, make them honor the promises that they made on this property in West Los Angeles. And you're going to be against it simply because, the realistic reason is it's because it came from President Trump. If any other if any other president would have said it, they would have said, "Oh my God, yeah, that's a great idea. That's wonderful. We're helping six." But you have some people that I'm telling you, they'll let them suffer on the streets rather than support it. And I think that we need to identify those people, not and dox them or anything, because I'm not into that shit, man. I don't think that that's right to do that. But what I am into is I am into saying this person is a lunatic. You can hear what they don't care about humanity. They don't care about helping our veterans. They don't care about, stopping and prevent. I'm all about preventing future wars, man. I don't want to see my kids drafted and forced to go to fight in a war that they didn't start, and I damn sure didn't start. And I think that we as an American people need to get to the point to where it's like, I don't care what your political affiliation is. Help us come up with a solution. And the solution isn't just, crush Donald Trump. And that's what's happening with this country, man. I mean, they're so hell bent on destroying one person, they're willing to burn the whole building down.
Captain,
Yeah.
do you agree with the following statement? This happened to be a chapter in a book you know well. Donald Trump is the peacenik president of our generation. Agree or disagree, Captain?
I agree. He's the one that's promoting more peace. He doesn't want to see wars. He's trying to stop the war between Ukraine and Russia. He doesn't want to see Russian kids die, and he doesn't want to see Ukrainian kids die. It's.
Can I just ask a quick question, just on the standard of things? Because I really don't like when people in power get to hide behind like a name or, like some
Yes.
secret whatever. So when you were talking about, who are these people? I think that that's a starting point for America. It's
Yeah.
almost like America's Got Talent. Why can't we bring them on the stage and come on, come up and now say in front of everybody, in front of America, because that's what this is. You tell them that you want to send their children, their grandchildren to war. Tell them that, because that's essentially what you're doing. So if you cut the BS on America's Got Talent, you've got under 2 minutes. So just tell us the facts. And then I think the general populace will be able to take care of the rest of it. But without knowing the decisions that people in high places are making, this is the root of the issue. It has nothing to do with Donald Trump. It has to do with control, leverage, and they're using us as cannon fodder. So this is a big problem. I'm really upset about this. This is a huge, I would put this from a community level at a national security concern that we, the public, have. So, they can put us on lists. They can analyze the data and the information. But I think it's time that, mom and dad and grandma and grandpa and aunts and uncles start looking at the data as well and saying, well, if we want our family lineage to continue, we've got to step up to the plate. We can't just let, who's who make decisions for us. So that's my thoughts. Craig, you're
Sorry,
muted. Go ahead.
James, I had a quick follow-up to that thought, Val. I don't know if James is offline here, but is this indeed a quote national security issue? James is in D.C. He sees the people at the top, and I always want to keep bringing back Trump into this. Is Trump really looking out not only for our military, our veterans, but regular U.S. citizens like us? That's kind of my $64,000 question right there for him. Do you have any question? Yeah, while we wait for James here, do you have any quick follow-up to that thought?
Well, I mean, that's a lot to unpack, but I come at it from a household perspective, because if you can't run your own house, you certainly have no interest or value being in the White House. So if your mindset is not to protect, but to essentially censor, bury, like depending on what your long-term goal is, because then you're just leaking and bleeding into foreign interests, and you're not working for the people that you swore to protect. And can you imagine what it does for recruitment numbers when the very people that are sending you to war are also saying, we're not going to bring him back either?
Right.
Like that's really what you're doing. So
Right.
I think a list is essential. I think that there's only one stage. I think we need to have a really better or new vetting process. And the way to do that is not to hide behind some phony title or office or agency, and whatever clearance level. I think you don't advance to the standard of a patriot, what it means to be a patriot in this country, if your mindset is really death, not life. And so I have a real problem when I see our military being set up or taken advantage of. And if I'm a mom at home and can see this, I'm damn sure that there's people way over my ability to assess and analyze a problem at the international media point that will see through this as well. Yes.
Quick shout out here, Val, not to forget our format here. Boy, we love our listeners. We love our viewers. Mandatory shout out, as every show, Grizz Paschke, the Grizzmeister. He's an Arizona boy. He's also a veteran of, I believe, the Iraq War. And he always shouts out, and he thanks Captain James McCormick for his service. Looks like the captain had to parachute out, so I'm gonna actually jump branches a little bit. We always give James wonderfully the mic for his stories. He just keeps me enthralled whenever I listen to him talk, because it is the boots on the ground inside scoop about DC, the bowels of Washington, DC. You should hear the stories behind the scene. But I want to jump branches and go kind of like the old days a little bit, a few quick announcements. There's so much going on just in this world, the continuing mission world. The brand new channel that's going to be coming out, the Veteran Channel. The Veteran Channel will be the grandpapa of continuing mission and other veterans and military and law enforcement and first responders and border guys talk. So I'm kind of speaking for James a little bit there. Also, huge is there are two huge books that are coming out here, Val. We'll go bulletin board like the old days. Remember, you used to keep Post-it notes handy for our old Twitter Spaces radio shows. And two big books out. One that's available right now, and that's Sheriff Mark Lamb. He's a legend down here. He just came out with a brand new book. It's incredible. It's called 10-7. 10-7 means end of shift. When you finish your shift, goodness gracious, Val, I'm 66. I ended my shift like years ago. But when you end your shift, and the theme of the whole book is make sure you have a plan for when you do leave your profession. Veterans, think veterans, have a plan for what you're going to do next in life. Is it going to be a job? Is it going to be maybe he loves the idea of starting a business? But keep yourself obviously busy, involved, etc. And the book coming out 10-7, I've ordered it, and I always order. He's available on Amazon and everywhere, but the book's called 10-7, and I always order directly off of his website. This is what I do with fellow authors. In this case, AmericanSheriff.com, AmericanSheriff.com, and it's cool because then it comes right from the publisher. And I've had nice little notes in my shipments in the past coming from Santan Valley, Arizona, from Mark and Janelle Lamb. You've had a few notes here and there too, Val. So a big shout out on that. 10-7, I was thrilled to see that book come out. Second book is by our previous guest, who is the founder and host and Papa Don of Continuing Mission Radio, which is Captain James McCormick. His book coming out, and it's going to be down the road a little bit. It's in preparation right now and publishing kind of process right now. It's called Battle Tested Faith. Battle Tested Faith. I was blessed to have been asked to write the introduction, kind of like a foreword to that book. And I'll tell you what, I'm just still completely moved thinking about reading through that manuscript, and that gentleman who was on screen talking about the inside scoop earlier on this show, this edition of Continuing Mission, is the stories are just amazing. And that introduction, as a matter of fact, I got permission from Cap McCormick this morning, Val, per etiquette. This was a private publisher's kind of raw draft of the introduction that I wrote for that book. And I was thrilled that he had asked me for it. And I just asked him to take liberty, and I posted it on my website today. It's in the trending section of gregmeakin.com. And for your closed caption folks, that's GREGMEAKIN.com, as is my YouTube channel, also Greg Meakin. And do please click subscribe to that YouTube channel. But that introduction is in the trending section on my website right now. And I'm still almost moved having written it. And I think we're a little moved getting a sneak preview of it too, Val. I'll actually turn the mic to you a little bit. I'm hogging it a bit, but those were the two big bits of news on the book. And then I also have, before the end of the show, because we're going to be crowding up here our 59 minutes, but I do want to make a quick announcement about the Blue Angels too, a little bit later whenever. But turn the mic to you, just news or snippets on your end and comments by you.
Yes, I'm very excited for Captain James' book, what is it called? Battle Tested Faith.
Correct. Battle Tested Faith, with a dash between the battle and the tested. Yes. Battle Tested Faith.
Yes. So when you really unpack that, it means you've been there. You've been there, done that, and you know it's required. So I hope that is a spark, a call to action, really, because there's 16.9 million vets right across the United States of America.
That's right.
That's larger than a club. You know, that really is quite a large family. That and when we look at family, a family has a spirit, and that's a really it's a really large network of like-minded people that truly um, took love and decided to defend it and to use that as their weapon. And that's how I really do think of our vets, is that there is a thin line, but it truly is for love of family, for love of country, for love of freedom, for the idea of hope, and for true liberty. So I'm really excited to see this book on shelves. I'm excited to
Yeah.
see it hopefully on the big screen, on the
Yeah.
little screens, but
Oh.
be a anchor for people to come back to a starting place, right? Because we all need, and America is going through it right now. I mean, you can feel it. You can
That'd be
feel
a
that
great.
there's something happening, right?
That'd be
There's a reset.
That'd be a great movie. I can't believe I didn't even think of that. That's like a Saving Private Ryan, Iraq War edition. Wow, that's a cool
Could you
thought.
imagine?
Yeah,
Just go
no,
there for a
yeah,
minute.
yeah,
Could you
yeah,
imagine, like he was talking about some of the stories that are going to come out in this book?
right.
I couldn't imagine being on the wrong side of history to sit at, you just think of some of these movies like Private Ryan, or just the advancement in technologies. Like I think of Interstellar. I think of like all these great movies. And could you imagine seeing your part played as one of the decision makers around that table, and seeing play out your ending?
Who would you
Wow.
have
Like
play James
it's just
McCormick? What actor would play James McCormick? Is that a Mel Gibson part when he was younger, or who is that? He's feisty little guy like that. I want to when you're talking about James, and I don't mean to kind of go ad lib a little bit or to interrupt you. Then I interrupt you, right? But the book you're talking about, Battle Tested Faith. I want to take one little line, if I can, out of the introduction that kind of jumped out at me. When people research this fellow, Captain James McCormick, first thing they're going to do is salute. Second thing they're going to do, their jaw's going to drop at his war stories. My favorite was Iraqi soldiers captured by a UFO. That
yeah.
was my favorite. That was my favorite. That's on my YouTube channel. But what I wanted to give people who just an idea who Captain McCormick is before you even do your homework or your research on it. Out of the book, I've got my, by the way, hard copy. Remember, Val, I always go hard copy like old school. But halfway through the introduction, I put number 4. I had a little list, a little Greg's list of what I liked. And number 4 was my favorite quote. And from the book, of course, Battle Tested Faith. When McCormick was confronted by a general who subtly questioned the level of violence used against the enemy that day. It's like a 50 cal on fire. Anyhow, the quote from Captain McCormick, now this is to a general, was, quote, "Well, sir, with all due respect, there ain't a son of a bitch out here laying in the dirt that didn't need killing today." Okay, from the entire manuscript, I'll say, but that describes this captain to our listeners. All kind of light chat aside, this is one badass man who's almost died like a bunch of times in life. And every single day, I tell him, every single day, Captain McCormick, James McCormick, not envy. I so respect him every single day with what he gives back, to people like you, Val, and me, Greg, and to Sheriff Len. He gives back to his military vets, to his Iraq vets, to his Afghanistan vets. And remember, exponentially, don't forget the families. For every military vet, you've got a family of usually 2, 3, 4, 5, or more folks. So never forget that. Whatever our numbers are, the quote numbers, they're people, they're soldiers. And their families are as important, if not more, because what's a soldier without his family? I know I ain't nothing without mine. So that was the quote of the day. Val, I'll turn it back to you, and we're going to kind of start wrapping a little bit. I do want to touch on the Blue Angels. Should I do that now? I think I can cut that down time-wise. Oh, my God, and I can't believe it. Every one of our shows, it's what we can't squeeze in. We had possibly Sheriff Mark Lamb going to be dropping in today, parachuting in today, possibly his wonderful wife, Janelle Lamb, possibly dropping in. Their message to everybody out there is God bless America. They obviously they love their country, their God, their faith, their freedom, their God, family, freedom, and all the people that we hang with are the same way, Val. All of them are the same way. Blue Angels update. I'm a dear friend, just been really blessed to be a dear friend of a gentleman. He's a commander. He's a retired U.S. Navy commander, and his name's Don Linegang. And I won't spell that for the closed caption because I have no idea how to spell it, but his name's Linegang. He's the commander of the USO, Seattle/Northwest, meaning virtually the whole west coast of the United States. He's based out of Seattle. He's based out of SeaTac Airport in Seattle. I've written about Commander Linegang in the past with my writing of Gary Sinise. Gary Sinise also, by the way, completely dedicated to our veterans, obviously, the USO shows and stuff. So, but this is really, really busting news. I've been on a text kind of conversation with Don. We give each other a hard time. It's kind of fun, but he is actually this year he's directing the Blue Angels flyover in Seattle. Every year on a Seafair weekend in Seattle. It's just great, like the weekends you have around the country. In Seattle, you have the Blue Angels. I'm sure folks have heard of them. Side note, all the Blue Angels, they're actually fighter pilots too. That's a nice little secret. They're all fighter pilots. They could go to war tomorrow, which I like. People are stars. Usually they're stars because they really have done big things. They're not stars for no reason. The Blue Angels are going to be flying over, and the story is, in which I asked him about, the story is the Seattle area, political, I call them the King County, that's Seattle. King County communists, King County liberals, whatever, have tried to cancel the Blue Angels flyover. Just like they did in Canada. I remember, I think it was 3 years ago, they canceled the snowbirds flyover of Ottawa because they're too scary, whatever. Maybe too much climate change or something, whatever. But they tried that. And what happened is that didn't succeed. Okay, Val, that didn't succeed. Okay, and I talked to the commander about it, and I'll kind of keep it to myself as far as any kind of respect for that silly attempt at, as Captain McCormick said, at censor, cancel, doxing people, trying to cancel the Blue Angels flyover. Are you kidding me? How many? Literally millions, including millions of kids. That's your role model for kids entering the military and all that stuff. So, anyhow. The notice of the day to anyone in Seattle, Tacoma, it's the King County corridor all the way down to the capital of Olympia. We are talking woke, just liberal, Democrat folks. God love you. But the rest of Washington State doesn't agree with you. Okay, and definitely the Blue Angels and their commander doesn't agree with you. The side note again, Commander Lingang's calling in the coordinates and stuff for them to fly over. So that's called inside scoop, inside news, inside secrets. I think Val, that's my only announcement of the day, of the millions. I'll turn it back to you. Let's close this out in 2 minutes. You go ahead. I've been blabbering a lot, but this is going to be a fantastic 1 hour that's going to be re-platformed on the Veteran Channel. We've heard of the Weather Channel. That you'll be hearing about the Veteran Channel. And this has been a fantastic show. This is a continued mission broadcast within rapid deployment broadcast within the Veteran Channel, and good old Secrets from the Inside Radio. Back to you, Val, to close things out. And remember, everybody, wake up in kindergarten every day, okay? There's so much to learn, and so little time, because before you know it, you're in first grade. Back to you, Val Olson. Thanks, everybody.
Yes, we're very excited. The Veterans Channel will be launching soon, and that's a way to connect with all of you at home. 16.9 million across the United States. So it's just going to be like at home, right? That's where the best conversations happen. So we look forward to that. We'll have more coming up on that. Thanks to Captain James, who dropped by. And Grizz Pashke, have a wonderful day. We see your comments. And to all of you listening, thanks so much. And this is Secrets from the Inside, episode 0036, Continue Mission. Thanks, everyone.
First, there was Dueling Citizens. Now, Secrets from the Inside. Author Greg Meakin nails it again. Introducing Secrets from the Inside radio show. Raw, unscripted, uncensored, uncanceled. Secrets from the Inside starts now.
You got me headed to the left, headed to the right, headed back and forth, but baby, it's alright. You got me going to the east, going to the west, going up and down, 'cause baby, you know best. All day, all night, running around, I'm never gonna stop because you never settle down. You got me shooting into space, flying at the sun. I'm never coming back 'cause baby